What's going on, everybody? Doing some work on the Alterra, so just wanted to run over a front diff change with you and a rear transaxle change. So I ran into some small issues doing some research on this, trying to make sure I'm using the right stuff, draining the right things. Some of these things, there's a couple drains, but what I found in this Alterra is the owner's manual for the 22 Alterra and the 23 Alterra do not match up with the differential that I have in this. Now, I know this being a Black Hills, it may be different than the normal Alterras with the gear reduction and whatnot. So the Mud Pro will be lined up with mine, I'm assuming. Haven't laid my hands on a TRV or a Mud Pro or whatever. So let me switch you around. Now, this is the service manual for the 23. Boom, 23 service manual Alterra 600. So we jump into here. We're showing this as the left side of the machine if you're sitting on it. They call it your gas tank side. The actuator and everything shown here. This is set up just like my Wildcat. Got the drain, fill, fill, level, and drains on the bottom. So we jumped on here, boom, boom, set up just like that one, which this is the same picture that is in the 22 service manual. They don't have that picture. So I think they got a little bit more details on the 23. So moving over to here, I'm showing this style drain plug. I don't have that style drain plug. I don't have the actuator. It doesn't look like that. So jumping down to this area here, which would be side B. My diff looks just like this. So we have that. We have the drain on the bottom, which is in line with this, which I will tell you what, that hole does not line up with that. If you're looking at an angle, it does, but you're not getting nothing up in there. So I'll show you what we got going on. Boom, boom, boom. Shows you how to do everything. Beat down 3/16. So yada, yada, yada. Then this goes to the rear. We'll get to the rear when we get there. So show you the gas tank side, as I call it. There is no actuator. So off the owner's manual, they're calling for gear lube on this side and transaxle fluid on the other side. So I have a bottle of both. So we'll find out once we get draining the oil on what we got going on. So this side, everything looks in order. Boom, boom, boom. Now, let's jump underneath this. Show you kind of what we got going on. I drilled an extra hole to line up with that because their factory hole, their picture's kind of like this, but in reality, it's straight there. So, with all that being said, we're going to go through, I'm going to get you guys set up, and we're going to get draining the oil, and then we'll jump onto the rear transaxle, which has got a little more in-depth stuff going on. Like I said, with the Wildcat actuator, diff, drains, boom, boom, boom. It's just like what's in the picture. So I think that there's a difference between the Alterras, between the Black Hills and the other models. So the Mud Pro and the Black Hills should be set up the same, and that one is the Black Hills. So service manual is showing the base models. That's my guess, but we'll be back with draining fluids. In true fashion, I forgot my phone holder, so we're going to do this one-handed. Maybe. Ooh, she's in there good. Let's set you right here on some cruddy dirt. Alright, so she was definitely tight. Sorry about the finger. Once she pops, so. Oh yeah, that's definitely transaxle fluid, and it was definitely pressurized. So, that answers that question. We're definitely putting transaxle fluid back in. This is my first change on this one, so we're going to see what it looks like. There should be a magnetic plug on the bottom. So this here is an 8. 3/16 for the bottom. Again, I'm sorry for the lack of phone holder. Alright, here we go. 100% transaxle fluid. Magnet. No funny flakes. Doesn't look like there's any metal in it. Nothing. Looks pretty good. But there you have it. There's not much fluid in there, obviously. Not really a shocker. There's not much fluid in the Wildcats either. But basically going to put that plug back in down here. Going to fill it up. It goes level with that. And that's the front diff. Super simple, other than the little issue with the hole not being lined up in the bottom. I used a 1-inch paddle bit to drill that in. We'll be back with the back transaxle. Alright, we're at the rear transaxle now. I got the fluid draining. The rear does hold quite a bit of fluid, so you have your fill line. It was full right to the rim of there. There's your drain. Yes, you have to pull your rear A-arm to get to that rear drain plug. My hole was slightly off, so it was not the greatest to get out, but it wasn't like impossible to get out. It just wasn't very convenient in my opinion. Then the fluid does come rushing out of there, so do keep that in mind. It does hold quite a bit of fluid again. So one thing I wanted to touch base with you on the front diff here is you're going to want a funnel with a hose, and that's 9 ounces, 9.1 fluid ounces for the front fill for that. The back is full to that. So just to prepare yourself on how much you're going to need. Oil change is simple. Oil drain plugs right there, drains right out. Oil fills up top. Oil filters right there. Oil change is so simple on this thing. This, not so simple, but it can be done. So there you have it. Black Hills Alterra 600 fluid changes.